To most South Africans, Lerato Siema is just another tragic victim of violent protest. To his mother, he was everything.
He was the breadwinner, he was the light of the family. We expected so much out of him. You see that it's so sad when you lose someone who you depend on him financially, emotionally, and everything. It's so sad.
27-year-old Lerato was among the many angry residents in the northwest municipality of Madibeng who took to the streets on January 15th over a lack of water. It's alleged that he and a friend were caught by police who beat them up and then dragged them into eNCA. Lerato's friend apparently managed to escape. Police are said to have continued to assault Lerato before pushing him out onto the pavement and leaving him for dead.
I was called that Lerato was thrown in a tar road, and when I arrived at the hospital, he was unconscious. He was bleeding through his ears, his nose, his eyes, his private parts. Everywhere there was a hole, he was bleeding through that. He was wearing this cap inside the eNCA. So we were surprised about the blood. It's so bloody, so how did he have blood inside the eNCA when we were told that he was thrown? I'm angry to the point that they stole his precious life from him.
Many here say Lerato's death is a symbol of the human cost of corruption. 3 other people died of gunshot wounds during clashes with police, plunging the province into chaos. They died demanding the most basic of human rights: clean drinking water. Politicians stand accused of creating and cashing in on the water crisis in Madibeng. There is a constant battle for water in the northwest. Farmers, mines, and people are all competing to use it. Sharing it requires careful long-term management. The water supply chain begins at the often contaminated Hartebeespoort Dam. Retired engineer Friki Botha has for years, and at no charge, helped the local government to better manage this scarce resource. He says the current disaster could have been averted.
The population has exponentially grown in this area due to all the tourism activities, due to the mining activities. So the Brits water treatment plant of 60 megalitres per day capacity needs to be expanded to something like between 90 and 100 megalitres a day.
Botha's efforts were supported in 2010 and 2011 when the municipality was first placed under administration.
So, in fact, we try to become very involved in the water action plan, the master plan. But unfortunately, after the local authority elections, the administrator was removed and they started to ignore us.
A source who works in the municipality blames the water crisis on corruption.
The water corruption in Madibeng started way back around 2009 when there was a shortage of water, even whereby the municipality, they didn't have some resources to outreach the water to certain communities. But there are some contractors who own trucks, those who have come into business with the municipality so that they can deliver water to those communities.
Instead of focusing on fixing the ailing infrastructure, in the 2012-2013 financial year, 16 million rand was budgeted to pay contractors to deliver water. Each water truck could make up to 1.2 million rand a year.
For an example, there is another one, we call it Chokzo Construction. The owner of that company is a comrade. then you know that politics, if you are not the comrade, they can't give you a slice of bread.
We traced the owner of Chokzo Construction, alias Mokoena, to this palatial mansion in the midst of utter poverty. He declined our request for a formal interview. Mr. Mokoena, I'm asking you about the contracts that you got from Madibeng because of your political connections.
Contracts, and you understand me? I haven't got contract.
But you did get contracts.
No, before there was a contract.
And you made millions from the water crisis.
Yeah, I was working, yes. I was working.
Yeah, but is it because of your political
connections? Not a political, man. I'm not a political. I haven't got a membership card of the party.
Did you receive the contracts?
No.
Did you ever tender for these contracts, or they were given to you because of your political connections?
I was having a tender from 2007.
Did you tender, or it was given to you, Mr. Mokoena?
No, I tendered it. You must go to Madibeng.
But there's no records of you tendering,
no,
Mr. Mokoena.
I was tendering that tender. You born yesterday, you are jealous for this house. You, man.
Mokoena and many others never tendered for the work. Instead, the municipal manager, Monde Judah, approved that they be appointed outside the tender process. In a report compiled by former Cooperative Governance Minister Richard Baloyi last year, it is recommended that Judah and others be criminally charged. But the report's findings were ignored by an ANC-dominated council, and the likes of Mokoena continued to cash in. In just 30 days, Mokoena billed the municipality more than 100,000 rand for one of his trucks. He has 3. In this invoice, he claimed for a driver who allegedly worked 11-hour days delivering water. But on the ground, residents continued to struggle.
How it can take a month before Atla. It's not going to 2 months as paying. Or sometimes okay, Konota, Baromela Lurte Luring enough. Kibona Tatavaro. Modi taping Hona, yeah, Ralibits.
The National Executive Committee of the ANC has been aware of these problems for years. In 2009, the party appointed a task team to investigate Northwest municipalities. Its report painted a picture of a province rotten to the core. It said communities are suffering the consequences of corruption in tendering that has little to do with providing essential services. Most of the corruption and looting of state resources in the province can be traced to the Provincial Executive Committee, directly or indirectly. Former Minister Baloyi deployed his own team to dig deeper. It found that the water supply disruptions were basically used as a cash cow for businesses owned by or aligned to officials within the municipality.
The corruption of the municipalities, it started from the leadership of the ANC in the province, whereby they decide who will be giving which post at which municipality.
The public discontent expressed in violent rioting in the area exposes deep-rooted problems that the ANC has for years failed to address. After firing 3 councillors in January, there is little change on the ground, and it now appears Lutuli House is washing its hands off the crisis.
There have been quite a number of interventions, but still, when you go through those processes, half the time, half of that leadership that you dissolved gets recycled and returned. You have no control over that unless you will say there must be no democracy, we must appoint people to leadership position. The solution can only be found when the people of the Northwest themselves take a bigger responsibility for finding a solution to their problems. We'll never pack our bags and go and sit in the Northwest. It will never happen.
The municipality has again been placed under administration, a temporary solution that few believe will work. Still, the contractors continue to collect millions of rands, and the people of Madibeng are expected to be content with the little they receive in return. Even if the corruption is stamped out and the Madibeng municipality finances return to a healthy, accountable state, the water supply infrastructure has been allowed to deteriorate to the point where billions of rands must be spent.
And they have fallen behind in their plan to supply enough water to their consumers. That's the moral of the story. The system can work, but if there's not enough supply, then the rest of the functions will start to deteriorate. And some people will have water sometimes, and sometimes they won't have water.
It's a crisis that is costing lives.
I can't even tell people that I'm hopeful. I'm not hopeful. This day I mean that I raised siblings with him. But today I'm in his grave.
Audrey Siema wants her son's killers to know the quality of life they've destroyed.
I'll tell them how active he was, how intelligent he was, how submissive he was. The way he was the love that he had for the ANC party, for the Lord.
She says the government should honor his loyalty by acting on its pledges.
Let them pull up their socks. Let them deliver.
Corruption, greed, and no one to answer for it. One more death in what has become an all too familiar South African story.
Know more about your world. eNCA.com